Station 9. Blessing. A great number of the people followed him, and among them were women who were beating their breasts and wailing for him. But Jesus turned to them and said, "Daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. For the days are surely coming when they will say, 'Blessed are the barren, and the wombs that never bore, and the breasts that never nursed.' Then they will begin to say to the mountains, 'Fall on us,' and to the hills, 'Cover us.' For if they do this when the wood is green, what will happen when it is dry?" Not everyone in the crowd surrounding Jesus was angry. Not everyone was shouting. Not everyone wanted to see him suffer. Our stations take us from the kindness of Simon's helping to the sorrow of these women lamenting. They were wailing for him. Mourning women played a fundamental role in Jesus' time and place, so common they could easily be ignored. Jesus sees them, hears them, and addresses them. His words are not reassurance, but warning. There are even more heartbreaking days ahead. And yet, Jesus pausing from his own pain, giving his attention in spite of his own agony, is itself a kind of blessing. Mourning and blessing, lament and kindness take up equal space in this scene. Jesus even mentions a time when a usual lament will be understood as blessing. Take a pinch of salt, sprinkle it into the bowl of water, use your finger to swirl it around. Remember the tears of the women who followed Jesus on his path. Remember the tears Jesus shed as he looked out over the city. Think about the things over which you have shed tears. Mourning is also a sign of profound care. As you swirl your finger in the salt water, imagine your own tears mixing with others, all part of the mourning for what is broken in our world. Remember, too, the blessing of care poured out.
Station 10. Crucifixion. When they came to the place that is called the Skull, they crucified Jesus there with the criminals, one on his right and one on his left. Then Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." And they cast lots to divide his clothing. "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." Can you imagine words more gentle, more compassionate, more grace-filled? Jesus speaks these words from the cross, one of the last things that he says before he dies. He speaks to them as excuse, not as denial, but as profound understanding. The people putting him to death do not really know what they are doing. They are following orders. Maybe they are grieving. Maybe they are caught up in the crowd's emotion. Maybe they are confused by the conflicting stories about who Jesus is. A promise or a threat? A Messiah or a menace? The mechanisms of state violence demand action before understanding. They crucify him. They do not know what they do. There is much we also do not know about ourselves, about each other, and especially about those we would consider strangers or even opponents. Following Jesus' model here is one way to orient ourselves with grace towards all we do not know. So let's join again in a time of confession. I'll speak a prompt and then leave some silence for you to offer up your own prayers. I'll close each sentence by saying, God, in your mercy, and you're invited to respond by saying, hear our prayers. Holy One, for where I have caused harm on my own, I ask you to forgive me and to help me forgive myself. It is sometimes true of me, like it was true of those in the story. I do not know what I do. God, in your mercy, hear our prayers. And Holy One, for where I have caused harm together with others, I ask you to forgive us and to help me forgive. It is sometimes true of us, like it was true of those in the story. We do not know what we do. God, in your mercy, hear our prayers. And Holy One, for where others have caused harm, I ask you to forgive them and to help me do the same. It is sometimes true of them like it was true of those in the story. They do not know what they do. God, in your mercy, hear our prayers. Amen.
Station 11. Promise. One of the criminals who were hanged there kept deriding him and saying, "Are you not the Messiah? Save yourself and us." But the other rebuked him, saying, "Do you not fear God, since you are under the same sentence of condemnation? And we indeed have been condemned justly, for we are getting what we deserve for our deeds, but this man has done nothing wrong." Then he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." He replied, "Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." We often think promises tell us of good to come. The men hanging beside Jesus on their own crosses didn't have a future in which to place their hope. But Jesus makes a promise to the one who addresses him, and it's not a far-off fantasy. Jesus promises the man communion, belonging, right then and there. Today, you will be with me in paradise. He focuses the man in the present, and then he transforms the present, infusing that very moment with hope, with peace, with mercy. Paying attention to our breath is one way to center ourselves in the present moment. Consider the promise Jesus makes to be with us now until the end of the age. Let your breathing take you deeper into that promised communion. Breathe in hope. Breathe out despair. Breathe in peace. Breathe out anxiety. Breathe in mercy. Breathe out judgment. Breathe in love. Breathe out love. Breathe in love. Breathe out love. Breathe in love. Breathe out.
Station 12. Care. Meanwhile, standing near the cross of Jesus were his mother and his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved standing beside her, he said to his mother, "Woman, here is your son." Then he said to the disciple, "Here is your mother." And from that hour, the disciple took her into his own home. He took her into his own home, into his own heart. This part of the story is about giving and receiving care. What Jesus has been for his mother and his friend, he cannot be anymore. He knows they will mourn. He knows they will miss what he has been for them. And so he gives them to each other, that they might each experience care, both the giving of it and the receiving of it. So they can share with each other what he has been for them while learning about something new. The way his care for them continues, even after he's gone, because he has brought them together. Hold your hands out in front of you. Turn one palm up, ready to receive. Turn the other palm down, ready to give. In the silence, imagine receiving care as a tangible thing in your upturned hand. What is it that's being given to you? Now, as the silence continues, imagine giving care with your hand that's facing down. What is it you're offering? Bring your hands together, and in this last silence, offer a brief prayer of gratitude for the care you receive and the care you give.